All right, I'm going to adjourn our closed session and reconvene in open session. We'll return in closed session after the session on items A and B to continue conversations, and I have one item to report out very gladly on item C. We're very pleased to announce that David Schrag, the principal of Stanley, has accepted our offer to be the curriculum director on a unanimous vote. Making the offer, which is accepted. All right. I usually ask someone to do pledge allegiance. Charlene.
Yes, yes.
Would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Oh, sure. I'm like, what did I do now?
You're being called out.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before our student performance tonight, we do have a public comment system. Persons may speak on any item that's not listed on the agenda. For those who are new to meetings, there's a comment period at the beginning where you speak on items that aren't listed. Every item on the agenda also has a public comment. Here, speakers are requested to fill out a speaker card to state their name and address when they address the board. They're asked to limit their comments for any item to no more than 3 minutes to allow everyone who wishes to speak the opportunity to do so. The board limits the time for total public comment to 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, and if additional time is needed, we will have it again after our discussion. And we have one card for public comment. Sarah Butler. Oh, sorry. I think it's been hidden behind a prop.
Hello? Hello? Sorry. Hi. This is Sarah Butler. I'm Sarah Butler, Orinda resident, speaking as an individual. Most of you know me. I just wanted to speak today at public comment regarding process, transparency, agendas, etc. And just to remind everyone, I've kind of been wanting to make this statement for like over 4 years since I was previously first on the school board. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I just finished my term in November. And just that even though it is the business meeting of the board and the business meeting is in public, it's also something that the public really cares about. And so it's really important to be open and transparent about the agendas. And I'm saying this partly because the consent calendar item last month on the sign, a consent calendar this month, and other times where things have just been put on the action for action when the public may not have even known that it was coming up. So it just gives a little bit of just wanted everyone to think about, the people in the public who don't know something's coming up on the agenda. And then if it's on there for action, it's like puts you really in a defensive mode. If something's left on the consent calendar, you can't even speak to that item. So with all of that said, I just wanted to read the paragraph that tells the intent of the Brown Act, because I have read it many times and feel like it's really important. And this is out of this little booklet on the Brown Act. It says, the intent behind these open meetings is clear. The public commissions, boards, and councils and other public agencies in the state exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of the law that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments they have created. And that's from Government Code 54950. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Who's going to introduce student performance?
It is my pleasure to introduce Delray teacher Kelly Trestrail, who will introduce our student performers this evening. Thank you so much, Kelly, and students for being here tonight.
Yes. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Kelly Trestrail, as Dr. Seaton mentioned. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Delray Elementary, and this year we had the wonderful opportunity to have our students audition and perform in a musical called Honk Jr. Everybody did a fantastic job, but tonight we have for you 3 of the main characters. So we have Mackenzie Finnegan, and Stephen Stalin, and Caleb Kim performing for you this evening, and also their wonderful director, Jackie Duckworth, who would like to say a few things.
Thank you. Hi, I'm with Bay Area Children's Theater, and I have the pleasure of directing these students and about 60 others in Honk Jr. We had about a 16-week rehearsal period, 2 hours a week, and they put on an amazing performance at Delray. Caleb was ugly. He's our ugly duckling. It's a musical version of Ugly Duckling. He was our sad, cute, adorable ugly duckling. He was not ugly though. Stephen is his father, Drake, who's kind of an absentee father. He likes to fish and go off and have fun instead of being a responsible father. And Ida is our very responsible mother of Ugly and 8 other ducklings, so she had quite a brood. And she's very responsible and always trying to kind of keep Drake in line and keep the other children from bullying Ugly, who gets bullied by the entire yard of animals. So with that, they've pieced together some of their songs, and they would like to perform that for you.
Drake, it's no good paddling away. I've seen you. It doesn't do for a duck to look sheepish. It confuses the other animals.
How's it going, Anna? You still sitting? You still sitting? I don't know. It's all right for some.
Well, if you like this element so much, well, you take a turn on the nest. And wipe your webs. I just did the floor this morning.
I'd love to take a crack at sitting on the eggs. It's just that you look so comfortable sitting there. It'd be a shame to disturb you.
And what about that extension you promised to build on the nest? It's going to be rather cramped when the little ones arrive, especially that big egg in the clutch. Goodness knows what size that chick is going to be.
You know, I reckon that might be a turkey's egg.
Oh, Drake, how would a turkey's egg get in my nest? It must be your side of the family.
Well, we'll just have to see who takes after, won't we, dear?
Yes, dear.
Anyway, I must fly. I promised the rooster I'd help him count his chickens. Shall I see you back here?
Well, where else do you suppose I'm going to be? As a duck when you're stuck, sat sitting in the then at best you get bored. There goes Drake on the lake, I can see him through the rushes. All this time feeling I'm just ignored. I don't pretend that this is all he is doing. I'm a sucker for the billing and the cooing. But when you hear that pitter-patter of tiny feet, it doesn't matter how long I've had to sit here, mind my brood. Those little heads so soft and downy, baby bobs all golden browny, the beaks constantly open, waiting for food. It's the joy of motherhood. Those little ducklings walking around in line, I'll do what any other mother would to try to do the best to bring it up mine. It's the joy of motherhood. Those little perks that make it all seem worthwhile. I'll do what any other mother would to get my ducks decked out living in style.
Honk!
Oh my word! Arg, I created a monster! Don't be ridiculous. He's just not your normal run-of-the-mill pen duck. That's all.
That's all? Ida, I have a reputation.
I know, dear, and I wouldn't brag about it if I were you.
If they knew just how today I would love to honk. But it's true, I'm a bird who seems to lack the knack. I'm just different. I'm just different from the rest. And who can blame them wanting me to find another nest? But different isn't naughty. Different isn't bad. So why does being different make me sad? I'm just different. They're like peas from the same pod. No wonder they make fun of me. Life's harder when you're odd. But different isn't scary. Different is no threat. And though I'm still their brothers, they forget I didn't choose to look this way. I didn't want to be unique. I don't like these grubby feathers, and I hate this stubby beak. There's a runt in every litter, one black sheep in every flock. But when you know it's you somehow, your ego takes a knock. I'm just different, but I have a sense of pride. My looks may well be funny, but I hurt the same inside. Different isn't spiteful, different isn't wrong. So why is it so hard to get along? I only want to get along. I have an idea. I want to go and find someplace else where I belong.
Hey, where's that ugly gone?
Don't call him ugly, but you're right. Where's he gone?
I thought it was with you.
He was just a moment ago. I better go look for him. Probably got lost. You stay here with the other four.
As a drink, my mistake was letting her go searching for my son. And that one, it ain't right. I spent weeks filling beaks, hearing Jenny, Jenny, Jenny. I'm depressed by the nest, day and night. When Ida said she'd go, I had to let her. Ashamed because this apron suits her better. Where's the joy in motherhood? An endless round of chores that have to be done. In with me. I found him. He's a swan and the finest bird I've ever seen. I always knew that my family was blessed with royal blood. Sure. And you may find in Norway, you're a swan. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Beginnings of meetings are so great. And the good news continues. We have two recognition items today. First is Resolution 1712. It's classified school employee week.
OUSD classified employees are a diverse group of people with a wide variety of skills. Some employees assist students in the office, in the classroom, or on the playground. Others take care of the facilities by pruning, cleaning, building, and repairing. And some support OUSD's use of technology, transport mail and equipment between sites, pay bills, and assist families and residents of Orinda. This is only a fraction of the many duties carried out on a daily basis by classified employees in the district. All of the OUSD classified employees help create a safe and nurturing environment within which students grow and flourish. Without the hard work and dedication of the classified employees in our district, OUSD would not be the strong structure that it is. They are the glue, the mortar, and the grout that hold our schools together. Because of their importance to the district, OUSD would like to declare through this resolution that we honor all our classified school employees during the week of May 21st to 27th in this year 2017.
We have a resolution on the table. It would be a roll call vote. I guess I have to call for discussion. Any comments? Public comment? Comment from the board?
Just thanks to our employees for all they do for us every day. I would echo Jen's comments and just say our classified employees are the backbone of the district, and they support all of the teachers and all of our administrators every single day. And our district would not be where it is without their incredible work and dedication. So.
Yeah, a motion, or do we go directly to the? I'll move that we adopt resolution 1712, classified school employee week, May 21 through 27.
Aye.
Aye.
Carol.
Aye. That is unanimous.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, and now we have two recognitions.
More recognition. Okay, so we have some very special guests in the audience. Each year, the Contra Costa County Office of Education recognizes and awards outstanding certificated and classified school employees. Each public school district in the county, of which there are 18 members, submit nominations to the county for those outstanding district employees. CCCOE, the County Office of Ed, then selects winners. Although there are few nominees recognized as winners, everyone is celebrated. We would like to celebrate OUSD's winners in this category tonight with a public introduction to the board by their principals and a few words of recognition from OUSD Board President Jason Connie. Here to introduce OUSD's nominee for the county's Teacher of the Year, Sue Boudreau, is OIS Principal Michael Randall. Sue, will you join him?
Amazing educators put students first. Amazing educators are committed to lifelong learning. Amazing educators know the best practices for optimal student performance. Amazing educators are constantly seeking ways to refine their craft for the purpose of making the experience for students that much better. Amazing educators make sure that every student knows they care. Amazing educators have a driving passion to foster the love of the learning process in their students. Amazing educators are able to take a subject and bring it to life in such an exciting and meaningful way that students who used to dislike that subject now claim it as their favorite. Amazing educators touch lives. As a teacher, colleague, collaborator, curriculum developer, school site and district committee member, and even a presenter at national conferences, there is simply nothing related to education that our Teacher of the Year cannot do.
Nothing.
After 32 years in education and nearly 5,000 students later, it is truly a privilege for me to honor and present to you the Orinda Union School District's Teacher of the Year, the simply amazing Sue Boudreau.
Well, I do have to say one thing. I have not had the honor of having a child in Sue's classroom, but I've learned a thing or two from Sue. Because when I decided, or started to consider whether to do this job, who are some of the first people you talk to? You talk to the leaders in the district, like our teachers. And I learned a lot from Sue, and I am grateful to be serving with her on committees and in this district in so many ways. Thank you, Sue, for all that you do.
Sue, maybe you'll share the Orinda bear that you're holding with the people sitting around you. That's something new. Dr. Seaton brought to our district.
Does he have any? Oh,
Public comment?
yes, let's have public comment.
Keeping us on our toes, Charles.
Yes.
Good.
As OEA President Charles Shannon, I want to say that Sue's influence extends well beyond the classroom. She has been for years an active member, leader of the Orinda Education Association. And we are indebted to her because she keeps us on track. She's the voice of reason. We really appreciate all the civic duty that she gives back to educators. And we look forward to continuing our relationship with Sue, helping guide our teachers through some real difficult times. So we all appreciate Sue, and Sue, you're extraordinary, well beyond the classroom. And thank you so much for all you do for educators and everyone in the community. Thank you.
Okay, we're still celebrating. So to introduce us to the OUSD's nominee for Classified School Employee of the Year is her principal, Dr. Gallegos.
Thank you, Board, Superintendent, attendees. this evening when I was trying to think of all the things I could say about Shirley and all the superlative talents and activities that she brings to our office, it goes without saying she is just an institution in our school and she keeps our office going. But there's one other thing that I need to share about Shirley, which is such a special thing for me and I think for us. And I only have this game with one other person my entire life, my little brother, is that when things get a little tight, tense, dull, at the school, possibly, there's a little game that Shirley and I play. And the reason we play this game is because Shirley is perhaps the most knowledgeable person about popular music I have ever met. So what I'll do, if things get a little tense, I'll walk by and I'll either sing or say a couple lines or stanzas from a song. And the game is that Shirley has to not only name that song, but the artist and the year that it came out. And she is...
Instead of telling us about it, why don't you show us? Give us a demo.
You want me to do this here in front of the entire
Would love it. Would love that.
Okay. Okay. So Shirley, you stay right here. The game is I'm only going to sing 2 quick stanzas. And I'm going to need a chorus. I'm going to need a chorus over there. 2 quick stanzas. Charles, please. Michael, I need you over there. You can kind of keep that. And so Shirley, I'm going to sing 2 quick stanzas.
Singing?
All you have to do, I'll tell you what to do. So Shirley, I'm going to sing 2 quick stanzas, then you have to name the artist, the song, and the year that it came out.
No pressure.
Okay. So how about if you all move over here? Okay. Stuart, I need you to get up. Raymond, come on. Okay. So what I need you to do is 2 simple things. Okay. Is Charlene up here?
Oh, I'm right here.
Oh, okay. So I just need you, I need you to start going. It's here. And then when you hear the chorus, it's repeated. The second time, I need you to say it. Okay. Okay. So let's start off. Shirley, we've only done this in our office. Ready? My dog. Okay. Sorry, I blanked out on the lyric. Okay, hold it. I blanked out, but I got nervous. We know. All right, ready? Making a living the old hard way, taking and giving by day. I dig the rain and the snow and the bright sunshine.
Dragging the line. No, wait a minute. Dragging the line.
You got it.
Dragging the line.
All right, one more. My dog Sam eats purple flowers. We ain't got much, but what we've got's ours. We dig the snow and the rain and the bright sunshine.
Dragging the line. Dragging the line.
All right, Shirley.
Artist?
Okay.
James and the Shonda.
Yes. Song.
Dragging the line.
And if you don't get this, I know Bob will get it. Year of release.
I'm gonna say, the year that my husband graduated from high school, 1971.
Yes. There you have. This is the reason.
She has earned the bear. You earned that, Bear. Ken, you earned one too. We'll get back to you.
Okay, I can say that my kids do see you every day.
Yes.
And you were a gateway in a different way to so many kids at the school, so thank you very much.
I totally like that.
It's okay.
Be the first time in the school board. Oh, we were pretty dead.
We did it.
All right. Oh, yes. Public comment.
If it's about our singing.
No.
He was
He was a part of it.
I know, I was singing.
OEA President Charles Shannon, I want to say my mother's name is Shirley, so I love Shirley's. All OEA members are so indebted to the work of our staff. They've been alongside us, working so hard and tireless hours. We could not do what we do best without the support of all of our certificated staff. Thank you, Shirley, for all you do. We really appreciate it, and we're happy that we have tonight to celebrate all that you've done. Thank you.
All right. Now we're to the discussion items on our agenda. We have two, and our first is the superintendent's, oh, sorry.
Reports.
Oh, I missed our reports. Oh, I missed several things, never mind. I was in a hurry to talk.
Very quick meeting.
Reports.
Yes, so our OEA president, Charles Shannon.
Good evening. Members of the board, Dr. Seaton, district leadership, educators, staff, parents, and members of the community. The Orinda Education Association and local CTA chapters up and down the coast of California led a massive social justice day of action Monday, May 1st. Thousands of educators, administrators, students, parents, and community supporters rose up together to protect public education and send the message that all students deserve safe schools. During this day of action, State School Superintendent Tom Torlakson urged all California school districts to declare themselves safe havens for students. Torlakson said, all across California, students, parents, and community members are walking into school together today to show that schools must be safe for everyone. Students have a right to public education, regardless of their family's immigration status. Our very own CTA Vice President, Teresa Montaña, said, educators will continue to resist all federal policies that hurt our students. The hateful rhetoric and bullying of dreamers, immigrant children, LGBT students, Muslims, and others must stop. This day of action was about our united front for a future that strengthens our public schools and respects all students and members of our community. Among all the Day of Action school activities, local educators like us asked the public to take the CTA pledge to support public education and provide students with the quality education they deserve. Here's even more good news. This Wednesday, May 10th, is the official California Day of the Teacher 2017. This year's theme is based on CTA's advocacy agenda. As educators, teachers are deeply committed to the success of every student. Students are the center of everything they do, which is why they advocate for the opportunities and resources students need to succeed. In addition, a teacher's role in school improvement is changing. Educator-driven school improvement works because what teachers do is an art as much as it is a science, and is a lot more than a test score. The best teachers understand their students' strengths and weaknesses and adapt their practices to both. Real education improvement capitalizes on fantastic pool of talented teachers that we have in our classrooms today and the diverse approaches we offer our students. That's one reason why this year's theme is California Teachers, Advocates for the Public Education All Students Deserve. California's Day of the Teacher has its roots in the community and is patterned after the celebration of the traditional El Dia del Maestro, which is observed in Mexico and Latin America countries. Our California's Day of the Teacher arose out of legislation co-sponsored by CTA and the Association of Mexican American Educators in 1982. Since then, this event honors the instructional excellences in our public schools, community colleges, and universities.
I think I got mixed up here.
I also want to mention that we're still in negotiations. We're going to be going into our 8th session. We're very excited. We still have Steve Barber, who is directing negotiations, facilitating. It's been very united. We're really building long-lasting relationships with one another. It's been a very positive process. We have 4 more sessions planned. Our next one is this Wednesday, May 10th, Day of the Teacher. We really look forward to getting this done in the next couple of sessions, and we appreciate the district's commitment to continue excellence and working together to do what's best for Orinda. So with that, thank you for your time this evening, and I look forward to the rest of the board meeting.
Thank you, Charles. We have a CSCA communication tonight.
Looks like Mr. Waterman is not
Yeah.
in attendance tonight.
His stepmother passed away, so he's in England taking care of his mom.
Of course. Oh, I hadn't heard. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I suppose we'll move on? Exactly. So I will just make a brief comment about the LCAP, our Local Control and Accountability Plan draft. Kathy Marshall would want me to make sure it's a draft, will be available for public comment starting the 10th also, May 10th, and will be up online on our website through the 30th of May for public comment. So we invite everyone to take a look, send your questions. I will respond personally to each and every one. Assuming each and every question is actually about the LCAP, I will respond. So we really appreciate that feedback. We want this plan to really help guide our district. We take it seriously, and it gets better with all the input that we get and the questions that we're able to answer, so that we can make it as concise and comprehensive, comprehensible as possible. So we're excited about that. I will turn it over now to Raymond, who's going to talk about CASP testing.
Okay, good evening. Today marked the start of the 3rd week of CASP testing. We're currently testing at all school sites. We were lucky enough to secure tech support, and we have tech support on site at every site all throughout the testing. It has been a relatively smooth process thus far, so knock on wood that we continue the streak, and yeah, that's it.
All right, and that's it for our director reports. So with that, we'll move on to you.
We'll move on to board reports. Let's start.
Sure. Just a couple of, well, then, short month. Yeah, short month. So not a ton to report other than just a couple of fun things that I've gone to in the district. I was able to go to the Wagner Ranch Makers Fair for the first time, which was just amazing. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to go to that, but just to see the collaboration between the teacher that really organized it and the parents that were helping organize it, and different parents that came in and were working different tables, and see a ribbon cutting that was actually drones that lifted the ribbon, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
It just was a really, really great event, and just a lot of really great energy there, so I was excited to do that. And then also, more as a parent, I went to the Glorietta Family Math Night last week, and just was a really great event. I know that it was put together in a short period of time, and it was just a nice way to involve, combine community and curriculum, and to they have the student council leaders actually leading each of the math activities. Which is a really wonderful event.
I had the privilege of attending the Parents of Individuals in Special Education meeting with Jen, and
You can get close to the mic.
sorry,
Yes, thanks.
I did attend the meeting of the parents of individuals with special education, and met with the parents and Jen and heard their issues, and it was a great meeting, and thank you, Jen, for including me, and I was privileged to be there, so thank you.
I had the pleasure of attending, finally, a Sleepy Hollow Parent Club meeting. I haven't had one for a few months, so that was good and well attended, I thought. And so I got to share some information about what's going on at the district with them. And there's a couple other events coming up at Sleepy Hollow that I'll be attending, like open house and a maker's fair as well. So that's on my calendar. The other thing that's been going on for me, of course, is the school bus transportation authority. So our subcommittee and our authority keeps meeting, and we now have a school bus stop safety study that is being finalized and going to be before the group again on May 15th, which is next Monday. So we're having a public meeting in the morning, which is when we typically meet at the Lafayette City offices at 9:30 in the morning, and then we're also holding a meeting in this room from 7 to 9 p.m. And notice is going out it should have been in all the e-news, and it will be in the e-news this week as well for all the school sites, and as well, anyone who's currently taking the bus should be receiving an email telling them about this meeting. And basically, they're going to be presenting their findings. The group that performed the study is going to be presenting their findings, and Chapman will be discussing the recommendations that have come out of that, because there are some, as I discussed in the past, there are some impacted school bus stops based on that study. So I encourage anyone who knows anybody who takes a bus in Orinda to come to the meeting so that they know what's going on. But, so that will be wrapping up. But, so next Monday here, 7 to 9 p.m.
Thanks for spending time.
I know more about our bus routes, having never had a child take the bus, than I ever thought I would. But it's been very interesting. It's actually pretty interesting.
Pardon me. Well, I've been on vacation for a little bit, but I wanted to say that I think one of the last things I did before I went on vacation was to spend the day at OIS. And I was able to, I thought I was going to visit 7 or 8 classrooms. I think I managed to make 4 classes. And the reason I only managed to make 4 is because I was just enchanted. I mean, Catherine Palmer Collins can read a story like nobody else can. And she had me just dying to read whatever the book was. And it turns out it was Grimm's Fairy Tales. So I was so impressed with that and how she wove that fairy tale into a lesson on a lot of other books. And as an old editor, Cece Kumartin just melted my heart when she told her students that the Oxford comma was not optional. And then she proceeded to tell them about this company that, I mean, I knew about this, of course, because I love the Oxford comma, but about a company that lost a gazillion-dollar lawsuit because they failed to use the Oxford comma. Anyway, I was just struck with what wonderful teachers we have, and I was happy to do that. So my next venture will be science, and then will be math, so, and where I will be learning a lot. Anyway, there it is.
I'd just like to report on a couple meetings. Thank you to the Del Rey Parents Club. I met with them, and something I've observed a couple of times from that, I'd just like to say again, thank you to the parents. The time and effort it takes they were approving their budget. And when you stare at a budget, as everyone here has for the schools, you just realize how much class size and other for the benefits of our schools have benefited from the many hours, the tired eyes to make that happen. And it happens every year, and it happens in every school. And you know, we can only be really grateful for that. Then I had a very different kind of meeting this week that we'll be talking about as a board a little more with the superintendent and a group called Landed out of the South Bay, two founders from Stanford who are working on a model that helps fund down payments for teachers for their first homes. And they've done...
and actually all staff, if I can
and
just
all, and all
correct you.
staff, you're right,
Yeah.
and all staff. And they've done some pilot projects. They've had a couple of successful projects in the South Bay and Menlo Park and Mountain View. And we're going to do a little diligence on their model and what they're doing and seeing if it's something we could bring here and we'll discuss it as a board. It was very exciting. I think looking at innovative things like that really helps make a difference. And then the other meeting I have to share is what was our top priority? Communication, getting out into the community. We agreed in a workshop that what we're going to try to do is not only is Carolyn getting out there, but developing a set of slides and messages that consistently relay to the 70% that aren't immediately connected to schools, what's going on in the schools. And this last one was the Rotary Club, and our superintendent did a bang-up job. It was a great meeting with people who really paid attention, and so I think these are going to keep going, and all board members will have opportunities really soon to join these meetings. It just is it really helps to be able to distill and present, and Carolyn's done a wonderful job of that. So I'm thankful for that too. So 3 things to be thankful for.
Well, Jason, you presented a little bit as well, and I think it's just a great outreach to the community and helping them know our current status and that we do have challenges, but despite those challenges, we are continuing to excel and how supportive our community has been to help us continue these efforts moving forward. So, and former Superintendent Frank Brunetti was in the audience and shared some positive comments about how important it is to continue to support our public schools here in Orinda.
I mean, it really is amazing. You can go on and on. What's fun is the mother of a former student comes up, and all these people who had long connections to the school that haven't for a while. We were kind of startled to hear about it, so it's fun. Yeah. All right, those are our board reports. I was in such a rush to get to discussion. Sorry for our speakers. We still do have 2 action items before we get to the discussions, but they shouldn't take too long. Our first action item is the contract with LPA, which we've been talking about, and now a couple, or at least one other meeting. Stuart, why don't you tell us about it?
This could be very brief. The board has, at the last meeting, reviewed our process. I have a short PowerPoint that's under long-term facilities master plan that simply shows what we went through, beginning with the March 6th board workshop on facilities, where it became crystal clear that we needed to develop a long-term facilities master plan, followed by board approval on March 13th of a request for proposals, which we released the following day. We then had 8 architectural firms respond to the RFP and attended a pre-proposal conference and a site walk through all of our schools. And they submitted on April 10th, 4 of the 8 submitted proposals to conduct the master plan. And then the next slide shows that we have a committee comprised of our board president, board member Julie Rossiter, the superintendent, CBO Teresa Sidrian, myself, principal Kirsten Thurer, Sue Boudreau, our teacher, Mike Lent, maintenance craftsman, Charlene Robinson from Sleepy Hollow, and acting as advisor, Justin Rich from K&N. We got 4 proposals that came in, and we had a paper screening of those 4 and recommended 3 to go before the selection committee. The 3 that went before the selection committee was HY Architects, WLC Architects of Berkeley, and LPA Architects of San Jose. The committee, and I should stop for a second and just say that all 8 of the architectural firms were outstanding. The 4 that we initially reviewed were pretty excellent, and then we got down to 3 and they were even more superlative, and so it was really hard to drill down to 1. So we decided to take the 2 that were the most sterling, and we checked their references, and as it turned out, go to the next slide, the LPA Inc. got 8 of its 8 references were all positive, and in fact very excellent. So they were, they got the highest marks. They got 100%. The runner-up received some negative reports, so we then took that to the board on the 26th, and we recommended at the last board meeting that the board approve LPA, which the board did do, but we lacked a contract. So today the board is being asked to approve the contract of LPA. The contract amount is for $122,500 with $12,250 in reimbursable expenses, which means they may not use up that entire amount, but maybe for everything from copying and travel and that sort of thing. So we're asking the board today to approve the contract of LPA to do the long-term facilities master plan in the amount of $134,750, with the note that if you approve the contract, we will hit the ground running on Wednesday with our first the plan meeting, so we can understand where we go from here.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
We had given you some direction in the last meeting for those who weren't at the last meeting. Because we approved them, but then we still needed a contract, we gave you some thoughts and direction on the contract. Any comments on the contract you'd like to share with us?
No, I think we're good for proceeding. It's a pretty standard typical contract. I don't think there's anything particularly unusual. I would like to also add that once again, their organization has been responsible for dovetailing into a lot of very successful bond measures, so that I think is a very great plus for us.
All right. Do we have discussion from the board before public comment? All right. Public comment?
President Charles Shannon, Stewart, I've had a chance to see you working on a number of projects, and I want to say you're such a hardworking person, and you really become such a great fit for Orinda, and I appreciate all the time you put into really checking into these things and putting forth the best experts to guide us into the future. So I appreciate all your work on behalf of OEA. Thank you.
I move that we approve action item A, the contract with LPA for the long-term facilities master plan.
I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We have a contract unanimously.
That's exciting.
And now, and soon we'll have a plan. That is worth it. All right, action item B is a declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Ms. Goodman.
Thank you. This is something that we do every year. And what this does is it permits the district to hire teachers who may be in the process of completing coursework for either their CLAD certification, which CLAD stands for Cross-Cultural Language and Academic Development, and or their resource specialist certification, which is a certification that allows someone to teach in a learning skills setting. So currently, the majority of teachers in the district are compliant with their CLAD certification. Special education teachers are all compliant with their RSP certification. This declaration of need may come into play when we hire new teachers, as we do expect to hire a small number of teachers this year to replace those who are leaving us through retirement or resigning or moving on. As well as temp teachers who cover for teachers on leaves of absence. So by approving this declaration of need, the district would be authorized to hire teachers who are in the process of completing their CLAD or their RSP certification.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Just being new to the board, I assume that we do this because we have a need for teachers in special ed and we can't fill that need without doing this?
This is our opportunity to leave that option open on the table for us in the event that we had to hire someone without one of these certifications. We may not end up needing this particular option.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments from the public? Seeing no comments from the public. Back to the board.
I just presume that you feel like this is in the best interest of our students to move forward this way.
Absolutely, because if we had a need, it would be immediate, and we'd want to keep all of our options open and hire the best possible candidate.
Thank you.
I move that we approve action item B, declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, we'll move to our discussion items. We might take a little break in a moment, but let's go right to discussion item A first.
Well, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce, although they need no introduction, Shauna Simmons and Vanessa Imberg, who have been amazing co-chairs of my fundraising task force this year. We started the year meeting twice monthly to really get some momentum going. And as you know from the first update that they provided, we've done a lot of research as a committee, and we've looked at best practices in terms of research. We've looked at other districts similar to ours, all with goals of seeing how we can maximize our fundraising, make it more efficient, effective. There are some really powerful, bright, dedicated people in that room, and these two are just spectacular to work with, and it's just been a real privilege, as I mentioned. So I know that you have a little presentation that you'd like me to put up for us, and so I'm going to do that, and so you can provide the board with an update. And let's see. All right, thank you, Carolyn. You bet. I did add the item, but I'm not seeing it, so that is odd. I will pull it up a different way.
Okay. Well, just to get started, yes, we've got an amazing group of people in the room that are very dedicated, and it seems to me we've had, is it 12 meetings so far? It's been a lot that we have plowed through, and especially these past couple of ones have really been terrific because we brought in an outside facilitator who is actually not completely outside. She's one of our Glorietta parents who is currently a kindergarten parent. And she has a core competency in design thinking, and she has been very, very productive in helping us move the ball forward. And agree that if we could have had a big one, how much faster this one would have been. You live and learn,
Better
right?
late than never.
So,
So I just added it. Hopefully if I refresh, we'll see it. You all can check my board docs competencies here. Nothing like being on the
yeah,
spot.
this was handed to you as soon as we got
No, it's fine.
So to begin with, what we do before we start every meeting is we go over kind of where we are. We make sure that we're all on the same level playing field. And to that end, we take a look at, you know, it's pretty amazing when you add together all the numbers of all the fundraising entities. We've got 7 of them here in Orinda, and that includes Maramani. And if you want to go to the next slide, you can see that the parents combined raise $4.5 million that go to our schools. 4.5, that's pretty amazing. And not only that, they actually fundraise more. These are just the dollars that actually go to the students. This doesn't include overhead, this doesn't include things that just like directories that go to the parents. This is to the kids. So we would give that an excellent. If you take a look at our other categories, this is where the opportunity is. This is where we take a look at outside best practices, and there's definitely an opportunity here. And one of the things that I want to highlight is the one that we added down at the very bottom, the endowment contribution. So endowments are able to give back about, our particular endowment gives back 5% every year of the total rolling 3-year average. And other foundations have endowments that are $10, $12, $13 million, and they're able to give back $300,000 every year. And so and the other thing that I want to highlight, community events, best practices raises $1 million in one event. It is really spectacular when you see the opportunities that, and they're not demographically that different from us. The next slide is a sea of data, but if you take a look at it, one of the things, if you look at the far columns, the foundation ask is the lowest in Orinda, and the parent group ask is the highest out of all the different districts that we took a look at. The other thing I want to point out is that the third from the end, the foundation staff, we are one of the lowest staffed foundations out there, with 2 part-time. The foundation grant is not that spectacular, but when you take a look at the combined $4.5 million, that's where Orinda really does shine. And then going on to the next slide, we also wanted to take a look at foundation growth. If you take a look backward, starting in 1995, Manhattan Beach, Hillsborough, and Orinda all raised about $500,000. And then the story starts to change. So if you take a look at 2000, Hillsborough took off. If you take a look at 2005, Hillsborough still is taking off, and Manhattan Beach is starting to. Orinda's doing fine. We've doubled by 2000, and we've practically doubled again by 2005, and that's when the story really starts to diverge. So you take a look at Hillsborough. Hillsborough is more or less flattened out. Orinda is more or less flattened out at a lot lower level, but again, once you combine it with the parent groups, we're still looking good. On the other hand, if you take a look at Manhattan Beach, that is where best practices come in. They have been able to raise 2.5, then 5.3, and this is steady growth every single year. This is like 10 to 15% growth every year. And you take a look at 2015, $8.9 million. Of that amount, $6 million is granted back to the schools, and then the extra is rolled into their endowment. And that is how you get those growth numbers to those large endowments. And if you think about that $300,000 that's kicked off from that endowment every single year, that essentially covers your overhead, and then 100% of what you're getting every single year goes straight back to the students. So it's pretty powerful. look at the next slide, again, this just highlights more dramatically. If you take a look at revenue growth as compared to EFO versus Manhattan Beach Education Foundation, you can see the steady growth that they have experienced. One funny note I want to point out is in 2009, Orinda absolutely rose to the occasion, seeing 15% growth during the financial crisis, and then by 2010 we were over it and had negative 7% growth. So anyway, it's time for us to kickstart our potential. So issues with the current system. There is still parent confusion, frustration, and fears, and the fears are more to do with where their dollars end up, if they end up getting back to their own kids. Parent volunteer fatigue and turnover, you can see it, we lack consistency. Inequities across schools, I would say that Orinda actually does, I think, a good job, and a lot of that has to do with the oversight of the board and the superintendent. They do a relatively good job, but there's still room for improvement. Redundancies and inefficiencies, I would say not just key programs, but amongst 7 different major fundraising organizations, how many redundancies and inefficiencies are you going to get there? And then, of course, missing out on the new revenue streams and opportunities for our schools, as we just went over. All right, going on to the next one. So at the end of all that, the question becomes, how might we rethink fundraising for education for schools so that we can better serve the needs of our students and our community? So to do that, we need to think about the big picture. And this is a great graph because it talks about the 2 extremes of completely decentralized, meaning they're essentially just the parent clubs and there really is no foundation. And then if you go to the completely centralized, you get just the foundation with no parent clubs. And if you think about either of those 2 extremes, we're really not maximizing our potential if we go to either extreme. So we need some kind of hybrid. On the decentralized side, you have strong parent participation rate, you've got great community building within that parent population. When you get to centralized, you have the ability to source new and bigger revenue streams, which is always the most important to maximize your revenue. But somewhere in the middle, there's a hybrid. And that is where we need to really focus our efforts. How relatively centralized, decentralized, and even though we all have our own thoughts on it, it really is up to this whole task force to move forward collaboratively together to figure out what will work best for our parent population and our community and other potential revenue streams as a whole. So if you go to the next slide, this is where we started with all those squiggles. And
it really did feel like that too.
Right, it absolutely feels like that. And there is inherent chaos when you start asking all these big questions. And what Tanuka did is calm us all down and say that's normal, that's the way the process usually goes. And as you move forward together, you start to clarify where you're going with your concept and your design. And if you go to the next one, you can see that there are also, you start to converge on ideas and then you start to diverge again on ideas. So I would say we're kind of at that second divergent place is where we are right now, and so there's still a lot of work to do, but we're moving forward together. And you go out big and you come back until you finally hone in on a concept that's ready to be tested, and then we can all start to move together collaboratively. So how did we approach this? We took a look at our customer base, which is parents as well as small business owners and partners. Of course, that would include potential grants that are out there, foundations that are out there, alumni, community individuals. There are lots of different revenue streams. Then, if you look at the next slide, the framework that we used, we looked at the customer and where they were satisfied with the current system and where they were not satisfied with the current system. And the answers to these questions are very different if you look at it from a parent standpoint and if you look at it from, for instance, a small business owner standpoint. So as an example, a small business owner, we talked to and interviewed different individuals, and some were saying that they get requests every single week from a school organization within Orinda to donate to XYZ, whether it be a sport team or an auction or a run or a parent club in general or EFO, and they're exhausted and they're annoyed. And some of them have like a $20 gift certificate that they'll pull out of their back pocket and send us on our way. Others will just shut us down completely and just are done with it. Not the best solution. So we can do it better, and this was able to generate a lot of great thoughts. If you go to the next slide. We all work very collaboratively together. You can see some great work in action here. And it's fun to see everybody really coming together for a common purpose and really getting to know each other much better and gaining that trust that's so important as you continue to work through this, this process. If you go to the next slide, there's more work products. So we promised there was lots of good work done. And this talks about the pains and the gains and the jobs using the framework that was given. You go to the next slide. The other exercise that we did the second time around is come up with a shared vision. And this is so important to making sure, you go to the next slide. You want to take over from here?
Sure. So we did two primary tasks in the second session with Tanuka, and the first was for us all to come up with a brochure for that we would see where our fundraising was going to take us by 2022. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Next one.
And this is one example. And so everyone, we broke into groups, and everyone had to come up with some ideas where, be creative and focus our attention on where our fundraiser would come. And this is one group's design idea, that this was the schoolhouse that had all the different schools, Glorietta, Sleepy Hollow, Wagner, OAS, and Miramani, and what it took for each student to get to that schoolhouse and each of the community aspects of it, which were the parents and stores like Orinda Books and alumni, and reaching into the community, because that's really where we see that our goals are, is touching, getting business contributions and community contributions, alumni, all that stuff that we're missing in our fundraising efforts. And then the second phase of our second meeting was to break into these subgroups, and we looked at how we need to educate and better communicate with our parent and our community about what our, the state of Orinda and why we're even looking at this. And so each of these groups was to come up with kind of two tasks that they thought they might be able to tackle before the beginning of the next school year. And then staffing, the group has, agreed that an executive director is kind of, the next step, and it's really a key component to moving this process forward. And so the staffing group may take a look at how do we get an executive director, how do we fund it, what would that, that person look like given our community. And then the next group was the new foundation concept. It was more, concepts and testing, like what are some aspects that we might be able to, even using our current fundraising model, improve upon to test some things, such as, the one ask that's been floated around as far as, something that confuse parents. So this was the third group that we were, I guess they were looking to come up with two tasks for the end of the school year. So with those three, everyone came back with some great ideas, and we are asking the individual members to sign up for one of these groups to meet before our next session, which is on June 6th, and to come back with kind of a game plan of what they think they can tackle before the beginning of the school year to keep the momentum going and come up with some great ideas to move the process forward. So that's in sum what we've been up to for the last 4 months. Anything to add, Sean?
No, that's very good. All right.
Any questions?
Well, I'm just gonna start by
You left them
saying.
speechless.
I
I'm
know.
just-
Thank you for spending the time on it. I had a conversation last month with a former board member who'd been around for a while, who I was describing what you were all endeavoring on, and that person said, ha ha. That's all been talked about before. And I laughed and said, ha ha, but this time. And I really mean that. I think people have tried to touch this topic and talk about it, and sort of throw their hands up. And the patience and the effort to do what you're doing is to create that kind of consensus is what's gonna get us there. And I know it takes a while, and I think all of us are just grateful that you're doing it, and, wanna be a resource and be helpful any way we can.
Well, I also have to say huge kudos to Dr. Seaton and also Dr. Nickerson for coming to all of these meetings and having the right people in the room to help move it forward is really a big part of the process that we never had before. And to actually have this group meeting continually. In the past, every time we've done it, or at least as long as I've been around, it's been around drinks, and we'll meet a couple times, and then we'll get really busy, and that volunteer turnover happens again. And I have to say, it's like Groundhog Day. And the next group comes up, and by the end of their term, they're ready to move forward together, and then the next group comes up, and you have to educate them and move them forward. But the bottom line is really to do what is the very best that we possibly can do for our schools. And I truly believe that there is a lot of potential in Orinda, and there is a community that really cares a whole lot. And all of us working together is going to make a tremendous difference.
I think some of those charts that you put together, I don't know how long ago that was done, but like page 2 with the, just the various groups of, like how much is the community funding versus the parent. I mean, that was really fascinating. And also the next slide about the, just comparing the different school districts. Yeah, I mean, no, it's good. And that growth chart with Manhattan Beach and Hillsborough. Those are really fascinating charts and just shows you sort of, even though we're doing really well with fundraising overall, we are probably missing an opportunity, and that this could really capture that. So I think that's sort of the critical component here.
One of the things that's nice is that everybody has really agreed that it is time to invest in the process. Volunteers can only take it so far, and I think we peaked with that volunteer capacity. And people do an amazing job, and it's not to undercut that at all, but to really invest and professionalize this can help move us to that next level, which is where we need to be, because our funding is we're just chronically underfunded, and we need to continue to address that for everyone.
I think that is so important. So the idea of the executive director is wonderful. Another conversation that I think is bubbling that connects to that in two ways, I think is important, is the alumni community. Creating an alumni association that can be supportive to the endowment that isn't just alumni of former students, but alumni of former parents and board members and people in the community. They're out there, and there are two benefits of getting an executive director that can help us reach them. One is, you just plug those people in, but that's a whole other group of volunteers that aren't burnt out the way our current parents are. And maybe they did that 10 years ago and they're ready to reinvest some time again, but no one's asking them. They're not connected. And it seems to me an ED, someone who can be a permanent resource, could really help do that.
And I will just jump in and add that, there are always unintended consequences that happen when you do this type of work, and it's been such a pleasure to see different members of parent clubs and EFO and, administrators. We've had Julie Parks from Mirmani, John Nickerson, as Shauna and Vanessa mentioned. Michael Randall's come to several sessions, and Kirsten Thur, and just to see everybody kind of mixed together and across schools and across districts and have these conversations and roll up our sleeves. It's been really powerful to watch that unfold throughout the months. So I've been very pleased and hope that those conversations, and I know that they are, can continue outside of these meetings.
much to Julie's credit, we've had a parent who was going to send their kid to Campo completely flip-flop and go back to Miramonte, and we've had another that was headed for private school that is going to Miramonte. And it's because of that connection with Julie Parks and John Nickerson too, I'm sure, but particularly Julie. Anyway, a lot of great unintended benefits for sure.
Well, I just really want to thank you and say how optimistic the information that you've presented is making me, because it's clear that relative to other school districts, our fundraising is stagnating, and we know we can't afford for that to happen. We know we're going to need more in the future because our expenses are going to be going up, and who knows what the state's going to be sending us. It's clearly not going to be enough. So I think that comparison between us and other districts, we're sort of competitive here. And I don't think that we're going to like that too much. So I think it's just going to show how important it is for us to change the model and get on the bandwagon. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And I also just wanted to thank you both for continuing with this and persevering with it, because I know it's been a process, and it started out with not everybody really even wanting to talk about it. So it's really nice to see that, you know, you've gotten to this point of these subgroups, and, you know, this communication one, I think, is a big one, you know, over the next couple months, and before you can even get to the concept, just to really get the community committed to it and invested in it. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, and I also just want to talk about sort of where you see the next steps coming. We're almost summer, which is always hard. It's not just the kids who slip back in the summer, but all of our efforts kind of die out a little bit in the summer. And so help me envision sort of where we go from here.
Well, I think that's the idea of the subgroups, was to keep, it's tough to get 25, 30 people in one room, and with some subgroups that we've limited to 8 to 10 people, that hopefully over the summer they'll be able to get together in these small groups and continue their discussions on a select topic, come up with some ideas. I think that's the objective, and Sean and I will continue to kind of float between these subgroups and check in with them and make sure that they've got their direction, and if they have any questions, that they get their questions answered or have access to getting that information. June 6th, I'm hoping that everyone's gonna come back with kind of 1 or 2 things that they can do to keep the process moving over the summer. And then the goal is to meet again in early fall. I mean, we've got new boards coming up and trying to get information transferred, and hopefully some new people coming in that will join in and keep the process rolling, and some people will probably roll off. But, that's the nature of our community, and that's kind of where.
You talked a little bit about an executive director. How soon or how far out do you think that might be?
That's a great question. Well, we've got at the end of the second session, we had a surprise from one of our team members whose family foundation put together a matching grant proposal. And it was for $15,000 with the stipulation that that $15,000 be matched by all parent groups and DFO. If you add that up, 15,000 times 8 is 120,000. And that's enough to hire a really skilled executive director.
But for 1 year. Then
for 1 year. So they're right. And so that's where the conversation gets interesting. And not only that, you also have to, so everybody in the room has been talking about this for 12 different sessions, and we're all up to speed, but we need to bring the parents on board, because to get these funds approved by all these different organizations, you need to communicate with the community of parents who need to approve those funds. So we do need to, it's a great step forward, but now we need to take a step back, get everybody up to this speed, and then get the vote, and then start to move forward. But it's a difficult process, because it is so ambiguous, and you don't know where you're headed, and you don't have a checklist of here are the 12 steps that you need to do to get to where you're going, and you just check the boxes. And for me, I'm a very linear thinker, I'm a numbers person, and that is particularly difficult for me. I would love to just work as hard as I can going through that checklist, and there is no checklist to this. You move at the speed that the group is ready to move at. I thought we were gonna have it done by the end of the year and implemented next year, and that's clearly not the case, and I'm hoping that it can be done next year and implemented the year after. Fingers crossed. So it's just, you gotta be patient, and you gotta go slow to go fast, and what we're doing is setting this up for the next 30 years, and you just really have to keep that big picture in mind. So we're making it up as we go along.
I appreciate your patience. I particularly know how hard it is, and I also know, now being on the board, how important it is. You know, as we see the parcel tax money being flat and becoming a smaller percentage of our budget, but currently I think it's 34% is overall parcel tax, EFO, and Parents Club. It's a huge percentage of our overall budget that you're working to fund, and as people have said, it's just going to go up. So the work you're doing is so important, and so I really appreciate your patience and your sticking with it, because it's really easy to throw up your hands, as many before you have done, and said, this is impossible in our town, we can't do this, forget it, let's just move on as we have, because it's easier than doing what you're doing. So big kudos to you and all you're doing, and huge thanks from all of us. And you know, we're here to help you, so to the extent we can help you get the message out to the community, let us know how. Let us know how we can help you.
Well, thank you. And you already have, too, with the approval of the building out the space,
The
with the
office.
foundation.
That's great.
And that will send a nice message, and hiring an executive director when we get ready to do that step will send another great message. But, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thank you.
Do let us know when there are other steps we can take as a board
We'll be
to
plenty.
support.
That communication, we will for sure be calling on all of you.
Thank you both very, very much.
Comments from the public? Thank you.
Charles Shannon, OE President. I just want to say, Ms. Simmons and Ms. Imberg, thank you so much for your time. That was an amazing presentation. Our fundraising potential is incredible. I expect to see us in a few years up there at Manhattan Beach.
Surpassing.
Well, I don't want to put too much pressure on that.
Oh, we're not competitive.
You know, I wanted to mention, you know, we're talking about financial contributions, and there's another part of this that we haven't talked about that we all know. Our volunteer contributions that are, you know, non-financial are incredible. When I see the number of parents that come through our doors at Glorietta, and I know the same is true at the other sites, it's really amazing the kind of support that we get from our parents. Just in my own class, all the asks and the parents who, you know, help out to make my program, you know, even more incredible. So I really appreciate all the parent volunteerism, and that's something that we can't put a dollar amount on because it's personal, and it is important to our kids and important to our teachers because it's our community members coming in, sharing their expertise and their love of community. So I really appreciate that. I also want to say that I'm a part of an alumni, Justin Siena High School alumni, and one of the things that they do, they have their typical events, they have a crab feed and such, but they have an alumni magazine. It's both online and it's printed, and I can have connection. I think I get it like every 6 months, and I open that up and I keep them, and I see photos of people that I know, and I hear little stories about the accomplishments and things that are happening. It really helps me stay connected, and I feel so good about, you know, donations that I make, and it's something that I want us to consider, that I think communication with alumni and community about what's going on in Orinda, what's new, what's exciting, where we come from, where are we going. It's nice to get that. It's kind of like when our kids adopt an animal, you know, where they fund, you know, someone in a village in a far-off country that, you know, have chickens or something, or goats, and you get that little picture, and those kids just hold on to that picture, and they're like, look what I've done. You know, I'm helping a family sustain, you know, their lives, and so I think that maybe that's something that we can think about too, is how do we communicate with our alumni and keep them connected. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm excited.
Any other public comment? Back to the board for the discussion. Thank you again.
Great progress.
All right, we are back to Stuart for estimated overall budget for Gen 7 modular buildings projects at Del Rey and Glorieta, something the board had asked for before, but before I start, board, want to take a short break?
Yes, please.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
You know us well.
Yeah,
you can tell. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Are you busy these last few weeks of the school year? Yeah, I would think so.
Ever since testing got to be that, was it 80% of the year, 2 years?